German firm says indoor vertical farm in Singapore will produce 1.5 tons of leafy greens every day. Welcome to Hydro Haven and some hydro news. This article comes from CNBC on December 22nd. The boss of German firm &Ever has said that his company's new indoor vertical farm in Singapore will produce 1.5 tons of leafy greens every day when it is up and running in the fourth quarter of next year, that is, in 2021. Henry Schwartz, chief executive officer at &Ever, told CNBC on Monday that he expects produce from his firm's new research and development firm or facility in Changi will reach a lot of Singaporeans over time and make a small contribution to food security in Singapore. So 1.5 tons of leafy greens a day comes out to be just shy of 1.1 million pounds of leafy greens, which is pretty significant, yet it is making a small contribution. The company, which competes with more conventional food producers, sells living plants to customers that can be then harvested at home as and when they're needed. As a result, it tastes better and fresher, Schwartz says. So I think in context, we're clearly talking about a hydroponic farm competing with conventional food producers. Schwartz said Singapore is not the easiest market for indoor vertical farming. As electricity is fairly expensive, there are lots of cheap imports. So same thing with here in the U.S. We have the cheap bagged lettuce, the cheap heads of iceberg lettuce that people are accustomed to, and they come at a very low cost. And I find that many times people are quite content with having their mass-produced produce just because maybe they've never had anything better. However, &Ever has been awarded a grant by the Singapore government. And that's something that I think you will see with a lot of these large grow operations. There are big money groups, whether it be tech groups or government organizations behind these. And I believe it is necessary. The Singapore government, which decided to speed up plans to increase locally produced food after seeing how the coronavirus pandemic impacted its food supplies. And there it is. There's the wake-up call for people. So even though the food may be more pricey, it's still food and it's still needed. People still need to eat. Singapore's land scarcity makes conventional farming a real challenge, and I'll show you why in a moment. And the country is keen to embrace solutions that don't have a large footprint. So if we switch over here to Bing Maps for a moment, we'll see in these photos that Singapore has lots and lots of really big high-rises. They only have a land area of 281.1 square miles. That is the large island and a group of smaller islands just off the southern Malaysian coast, just about 1 degree north of the equator, just north of Indonesia, boasting a population of over 5.7 million people, population density at a staggering over 20,000 people per square mile. So in comparison, if you look at Rhode Island, with their land area as 1,045 square miles, is over 3 times the size of Singapore, yet they have less than a 20th the population density. Pretty amazing indeed. Lots of people in a very small area. Going back to the article. In terms of price, Schwartz said, we think that we're pricing our products similar to existing premium organic produce that you can find on the Singapore market today. That's an interesting comparison. And I think it's necessary for them, considering the operation they'll be undertaking, to charge a premium price, because it will be a premium product indeed. He added, the price point for indoor vertical farming products in many markets in the world, for example in the US, is very expensive. Our system is really geared towards making a meaningful contribution, and we have taken quite some time to get things right and to have the most energy efficient solution on the market. And that is a big concern when doing indoor growing, even in small operations. The cost of electricity is pretty significant. I know with my small operation, the energy cost is probably, if I'm not mistaken, over half of my consumable costs in growing. So I'm concerned with how much my grow lights consume, and then that also dictates what kind of grow operation I have. That's why I've gone with the Kratky grow, because I don't have to worry about the extra expense of having any pumps or aerators. In order to reduce energy consumption at its Singapore site, Endeavour plans to use a combination of sunlight capture systems and LED lights. It is teaming up with lighting producer Signify, I'm not familiar with them, to carry out a number of experiments. And here we have a picture of a vertical farming system. I don't think this is the setup that Singapore will have. If we go to the Endeavour site, we can see their own material, and that is a large vertical growing operation. I don't know if that's an NFE or an ebb and flow or another type of operation. I'm going to guess it's probably an NFT system, but very large and very impressive all the same. Back to the article. Endeavour already has an operational indoor farm in Kuwait, which has become a testing ground for indoor vertical farming, as it has similar but different food security issues. We launched our farm in Kuwait just when COVID really hit in March, said Swartz. It has been quite difficult to ramp up production capacity. However, the reception in the market has really been great thus far, and the Kuwaiti people really like our produce. And that's something that I found just with the few people that I give lettuce to, or the few people that I've sold lettuce to. Once they get a taste of hydroponic grown lettuce or any other hydroponic grown produce, is they really can taste the difference, and they really appreciate the quality that they're getting, and knowing that they're purchasing something that hasn't been blasted with pesticides or exposed to runoff of cattle farms where we get the E. coli issues that you see in the news. When it comes to farming, access to fresh water is a problem in many areas of the world. We need 95% less fresh water than traditional farms, said Swartz. He added, "We expect that over time, as our efficiency becomes better and better, the price points can become lower and lower." There's a key word in there. It can become lower and lower. Whether it will be something we'll have to see in the future. But my question in this article is, what other steps can they take towards food security? I think this is a great solution, actually, and I'm always excited to see hydroponic operations, whether large or small. But thinking that perhaps an effort to encourage the local people to maybe produce a little bit of their own produce at home. They do have a rather large population in a very small area, and I imagine a lot of these homes are rather small, but I suspect that at least a small percentage of the population can and are willing to grow their own produce. So that could be something that could be considered, or should be considered, I think. So a very interesting article. Let me know your thoughts below. I always like to see what is going on in the hydroponic world and what is happening in the news. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you get a chance, smash that like, and I'll catch you next time.